course, there are other things that you have to take into consideration, your sodium and your potassium. And of course, fluids. If your patient is in renal failure, fluids may be restricted as well. These are the diets that are being proposed. The low-protein diet, the rationale, of course, is to reduce accumulation of protein-derived waste products and hence urine toxicity. These are the different diets: conventional diet, low-protein diet, is a mixture of essential amino acids, and low-protein diet plus keto analogs and essential amino acids in the form of ketosterol. Conventional, that's 0.6 grams per kilo per day of high biologic value. Very easy to remember, we mentioned that earlier. Very low protein diet plus essential amino acids. The protein is 0.3 grams per kilogram per day, or about 15 to 25 grams per day. So kanina na kinumpute natin na diet that's 11 grams of protein. So pwede pa rin, no? It's still within the requirement of a very low protein diet plus supplemented with essential amino acids. Mostly of vegetable origin and protein, and then you supplement that with your amino acids in the form of capsules or tablets. You also add your tyrosine, valine, and histidine, part of your amino acid capsule. And then of course, it gives us nutritionally adequate protein and promotes neutral nitrogen. The other one is using ketosterol as your very low protein diet requirement. Of course, ketosterol includes your 7 essential amino acids plus 2 very important amino acids in the form of lysine and threonine. Most of them convert the keto analogs to your essential amino acids. The requirement is again 0.3 grams per kilo per day, plus of course your ketosterol. That would be about 20 to 25 grams of your protein. It gives us a neutral nitrogen, and urea production is increased. The consensus, of course, of many authors, many people who are studying this is that keto analog therapy, chronic kidney disease, should not be given to patients who have GFR greater than 60 ml per minute. So if you compute your GFR and it's still within the range of 60 and above, you do not supplement them with ketosterol or keto analogs. Your protein should be about 0.8, 0.6, you mentioned that earlier. But if your creatinine clearance or your GFR is already below 60, stage 3, stage 4, stage 5 chronic kidney disease, your requirement of keto analog is 1 tablet per 5 kilograms. So it can be very expensive. 0.12 grams per kilogram per day, and your protein is 0.6 grams per kilogram per day. In diabetic nephropathy naman, they recommended the use of 0.8 grams per kilogram per day of protein, especially if the proteinuria is already greater than 300 milligrams per day. And for this particular subsets of patients, the GFR recommendation is mas mataas, no? Less than 90. So kanina 60 for ordinary individuals with chronic kidney disease. For diabetics naman, kung bumababa na yung GFR to less than 90, then you start giving your keto analogs already. That's 1 tablet per 5 kilos, 0.6 grams of protein. If it's less than 30, it's 0.3 grams per kilogram per day, or 2 tablets of keto analog per 5 kilos. And then, for patients of less than 30 ml per minute of GFR, you still use your 2 tablets per 5 kilogram body weight, and your protein is 0.3 grams per kilogram. Of course, if you are taking a lot of proteins, like 40 grams per day of protein, this will not work. Neither your very low or your conventional or even your supplemented diets will work if you are taking a lot of proteins. So you have to bear in mind that you have to instruct patients that they have to have low protein diet for the other supplements to work. Because the supplements were just simply oxidized are not used for protein synthesis. So sayang lang yung medicine na binibigay sa patients if your patients are still eating a lot of protein. Thus, an example of low protein diet in a 70 kilogram adult, we can see that all of them would have very low protein intake in terms of grams. Calories, 35, preparation of calories. The reasons, of course, would be based on this, that we have to justify that we need to give these patients low proteins because they are on renal insufficient, they have progressive renal failure, they have proteinuria, and they get catabolic disease or illness. Of course, patient must be trained to plan the diet and monitor his or her intake. So very important is patient education. Especially, most of our patients are very fond of eating. When the GFR is, of course, 5 ml or less or below, we cannot do anything about it, even though we restrict protein. Because this is the time that we need to initiate renal replacement therapy. So kahit anong gagawin mo sa protein restriction, it's not going to work. Because most of these patients are anorexic and they have the risk of malnutrition. So it's best that we have to initiate renal replacement therapy or dialysis or transplantation. And then, of course, we still need to compete for our energy, still 35 kilocalories per kilogram per day. And this is a summary of what I will be talking. You can see that our energy requirement is still 35 for those patients in between. For patients who are near normal, 0.8 to 1 gram per kilogram per day. If the GFR is already very low, then you have to lower your protein requirement. So basically, the conclusion is I've given you a recipe, literally a recipe in chicken. This is the theme of our postgrad. I told you the disease covered by the lecture, chronic kidney disease. The dilemma is then to start nutrition therapy. Of course, if your GFR is 60 and above, we use this particular formula. Less than that, we use this formula. So 0.6, 0.3, and then of course it's up to us to decide what to do with our patients. If they are no longer benefiting from protein restriction, then we have to do dialysis. And with this, I end my lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our previous speaker was a chairman of the Department of Medicine at Renal Hospital and the video lead of the Philippine Society of Nephrology. He's a fellow with the